Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you out this morning, to see faces back after our bout with COVID after Bible school. It kind of ran through most of us, not all of us, ran through most of us, but we are recovered and still got some folks that are out sick with various other things and some folks on vacation. But boy, it is good to be in the house of the Lord this morning. It is good to be able for me, it's good to be able to talk without coughing my head off. It's just a blessing. I told Miss Sherry this week, and I just told Clint too, I said, antibiotics are amazing things, and we may take those those kinds of things for granted. But you go back 100 years or 150 years ago, a lot of the stuff that we had this past week that you and I have struggled with, we wouldn't have made it. I mean, it just wouldn't have made it. We live in great times. People talk about how difficult things are and how crazy the world is, and it is. It is truly disturbing at some of the things that are going on. But we also live in great times, and God has allowed man to do things and develop things, and it's just incredible. And I'm thankful for good medicine, and I know that some of you are, after having experienced what you experienced this week or 2 weeks ago and things, but it is good to be back in the house of the Lord. Just looking forward to a great day in the Lord this morning. So I'm going to turn it over to the ladies.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you please stand up while the ladies sing?
Good job.
Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Clothed in rainbows of living color, flashes of lightning, rolls of thunder. Blessing and honor, strength and glory and power be to you, the only wise King. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Filled with wonder, awestruck wonder, at the mention of your name. Jesus, your name is power, breath and living water, such a marvelous mystery. Yeah. Holy, holy, holy
you have tithes or offerings, now is the time to bring them forward or to pass it off to one of our children helpers.
I make sure I'm on. Sorry. I make sure it's right one. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And we are his portion, and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way that he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how
storms made way for spring. In every season, from where I'm standing, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Help me remember when I'm weak. Fear may come, fear will leave. You lead my heart to victory. You are my strength, and you always will be. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. Oh, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life, yeah. I see the evidence of you when I wake up in the morning. I see your mercies anew. Yeah, you're all around us. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life. Yeah, you're all around us. So why should I fear? The evidence is here. Why should I fear? Oh, the evidence is here. All throughout my history, your faithfulness has walked beside me. The winter storms made way for spring. In every season, from where I'm standing, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over You are my strength, and you always will be. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sin rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. Oh, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life, yeah. I see evidence of you when I wake up in the morning. I see your mercies anew, yeah, you're all.
Cassette tape. This is old technology. This is dated August 4th, 2002, Reverend Tommy Mullis. And I was going to ask Tommy earlier in the week if we could have a guest speaker this morning, and we're going to play this tape. This was his trial sermon that he preached. Was it Temple Baptist?
I was at Temple, but that one was here.
And unfortunately, tapes don't last forever. We tried to play this on cassette player. I happen to have one. And I thought it'd be interesting to hear it. And the tape's degraded and it won't play. But I don't know whether it can be recovered or not. I doubt it. But a lot of you might not know that today we're celebrating Tommy's 20th anniversary at North Toxley Baptist Church. And he might have wondered why that there was somebody was smoking pork out there at the Family Life Center. And they said, what are we supposed to tell Tom if he asks us what's going on? And I said, tell me thought it's homecoming today. Or just, you know, just make up something. I said, he's going to sense something's going on, but I thought, well, maybe he thinks somebody rented the building or whatever. And there's been many years in the past that October is normally Pastor Appreciation Month. And there's been many years, I think, that we have not done anything for Tommy, recognized him. And when he came here 20 years ago, things were different. In 20 years, I think if you look across the congregation, there's a lot of people that's not here no more. And as the video was playing, how many people was baptized? How many people was baptized? 45? And that don't tell the whole story. The Lord has used Tommy, Susan, Hannah, and Sarah at North Toxway in a very special way. And we were averaging having a pastor 3.5 to 4 years. And I guess that's one of the reasons that we don't have some early pictures of Tom and his family when they first came. Is I was thinking, well, about 3.5 years he's going to be gone. So we didn't make that many pictures or whatever. And maybe we didn't have technology back then we have now. But anyway, when Tommy first came, it was early September. I'd been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it was a scary time. I had an older brother that when he was 53 years old, he passed away from prostate cancer. Unfortunately, they found his too late. But the Lord got me in with the right doctor. And when I was 53 years old, I developed prostate cancer. And it will be 20 years ago this month that I have survived it, and I thank the Lord every day. And everybody in this community and many people in this county, they know Tommy Mullis. He is a first responder, and he goes out and does a lot of things that we never know about. Sometimes he shares with us. And it's not been easy having a 24/7 job. A lot of you may not know, but he's kind of a person that if there is a tragedy occurs in this county, Tommy and Susan get called and they go minister to families. A few months ago when the young child fell over Whitewater Falls, Tommy and Susan were called out 12 or 1 o'clock at night, and they spent all night with that family. So he's chaplain at the fire department, the first responders, and he's got a lot of people involved in this church that never had darkened the church door before. And Susan, I think when Tommy accepted this job, Tommy said that me and my wife come as a team, and that's what they've done. And there's been many things that him and his family have helped with, participated in, and Tommy told us a story one time about he was going to Asheville, and two young girls were hitchhiking. Tommy stopped and talked to them, and they were going, I think, to Asheville, and driving on toward Asheville, he found out their story. They were from, was it New York? I think it was. These two young girls left home. Tommy talked to them, let them know what a dangerous situation they were in. And he talked them into letting him take them to the bus station at Asheville. He bought them bus tickets back home to New York. He bought them gift cards to McDonald's and sent along with them so that they wouldn't starve. They didn't have no money. So he bought gift cards for them to go to McDonald's and get something to eat. And I think maybe call their parents. But anyway, in a few weeks, and I don't know how long it took them to get back to New York, their parents called Tommy and thanked Tommy. And that's just one of the things I know that, of the many things that he has done since he has been our pastor. And as we honor his and Susan and their family's 20th anniversary today, we're going to present with the gifts shortly. And the deacons had to make an executive decision without calling a business meeting, because it's hard to call a business meeting when your pastor's here all the time. And sometimes when you call a business meeting in secret, pastor thinks you're going to vote him out. So anyway, and this gift that we're going to present him with this morning, it's going to cost a little bit of money, and the Lord has blessed our church. And it's going to take some of the things that it's going to take. There's people in this church that can use their talents, may need some carpenters or people can do different things. And if you might say, well, I've already given in church offerings. Well, we've all given in church offerings. But if you'd like to make a contribution to this gift that we're going to give him, feel free to do so in the coming weeks. Write a check, just write on it, pastor's gift, and 100% of it will go toward this gift. And let's see what else I need to mention here. We are going to have a barbecue meal. Everybody's invited after our service today. One thing I'd like to ask is, when we do have the blessing here, let Tommy, Susan, Hannah, and Sarah lead the line, because I've noticed that normally when we have a big meal out there, Tommy and Susan are the last ones to come through. We want them to lead the way today. And right now I'd like to ask Bramley Fisher to come and tell you a little bit about how we got Tommy here to North Toxaway. And one thing that I think happened after they got here, Susan learned to make biscuits. And Tommy has told me before that sometimes he would eat more than 2 or 3 biscuits at a time. And he's put on a little bit of weight, which we all seem to do as we get older. But Tommy, we love you. Susan, Hannah, Sarah.
First off, I'd like to say that Ronnie kind of pulled me aside as I came in the door this morning and asked me to do this, so I have no prepared speech, but most of you have heard this before, and a little over 20 years ago, we were without a pastor. We had a very, very good interim pastor with Gene Henson and Exie, and felt like we were in good hands and didn't have to rush anything. But as Ronnie was saying a while ago, I had just gone through probably the most difficult time in my physical life. I'd had spine surgery and was trying to recover from that and was on some pretty strong medications, but I formed a pastor search committee, and it consisted of Jeremy, myself, Carol Avery, Pat, Mary, Kelly Jo, and am I missing anybody?
Richard Fordyce.
Richard Fordyce. I had Richard on my mind a while ago. Richard Fordyce. And unbeknownst to me, they had decided that they wanted me to be the chairman of this pastor search committee. And here I was staggering around on pain pills and all kinds of crazy stuff. But we took this obligation very seriously. Pat was an organizer. She organized, and we had asked Jeremy to lead us in a devotion every week when we met, and we met once a week. But as this search progressed, even before we got started in it, I'll back up just a little bit. I had a friend down in Lancaster, South Carolina. His name was Bill Sumner. Bill was a Presbyterian minister down there and also the chief of police. And Gail and I talked it over, and I said, Gail, I've never done anything like this, but I want somebody that I can trust, some Christian man of God that I can trust to give me some advice on what I need to do. So I called Bill, and during the conversation, he said, I know the Baptist director down there, this guy by the name of Denley Kaufman. And he said he might even have some people on his list that would be a candidate. So I'll talk to Denley. And Denley said, yeah, I've got this guy by the name of Tommy Mullis that might be interested. But, we were looking at somebody every week. Jeremy would have someone that we'd look at, or Richard would have somebody that we would look at. And to tell you the truth, a couple of the people we looked at was just a little bit too slick for me. I mean, if you know what I mean. You know what I would mean, Jerry. But in the course of this procedure, and Tommy could tell us better how it happened probably, but I got a resume from Tommy. And so we started having phone calls, I'd say weekly or bi-weekly. And Hannah was just a little bitty old thing then, and she'd say, is that Mr. Bramley calling again? And it was. But during this period of time, and it went on for a while, Tommy was kind of the cream of the crop that kept rising to the top like cream does. And so we decided as a pastor search committee, let's go down and talk to Tommy and Susan. And Tommy had made it very plain that from the beginning, he said, we come as a team. We come as a team, She's as much a part of this pastorate as I am. So we went down and met with him, and if I had been Tommy, some of the questions I asked him, I'd have probably said, just forget it, but he didn't. And we lined up this trial sermon down at Temple They were without a pastor, and we were without a pastor. So the pastor search committee went down and listened to the trial sermon. Susan sang. I'll never forget it. Susan sang. And so as we were leaving the church, and some of you back on this side of the church will know who I'm talking about, there was a member down there by the name of Miss Thelma Bryson. And Miss Thelma said, pulled me aside, and she said, look, if y'all don't want him, we do. So we lined up, I don't know if it's the following week or when, but y'all came up then and did a sermon here. But I'm saying all this to say that through, I think, God's intervention, nothing to do with me or Jeremy or anybody else that was on that pastor search committee, we were led to Tommy and Susan and the girls, and it's, you know, it's been a good 20 years. Thank you all, and we'll continue. Thank you for putting up with me.
And as I said, this video is going to do Tom and his family justice. There's been many more than 45 that Tom has led the Lord baptized. And God has used him as a vessel here. And we love the entire family. And Craig, I'd like to ask you to come forward now.
One more thing, Ronnie.
Okay.
I noticed Wally kept showing up for a lot of those pictures.
Yeah, I was asked as a member of the deacon committee to make part of this presentation, and I feel very honored to do that. 2 years ago, my wife and I walked into this church. I walked in on a Sunday morning, and I was out scouting churches and sat way in the back there, and you know, for 30 minutes or so, I heard Tommy open his Bible, preach from the Bible, and then when he got done, he offered people a chance to come and meet the Lord and get to know Jesus and save. And you know, one thing my wife and I won't do is we won't go to a church that doesn't preach from the Bible, and we won't go to a church that doesn't give people a chance to meet Jesus. And I can tell you, every single Sunday that I've been here, that's what I've heard Tommy do. And you know, this is going to be our church home as long as we're in Toxway. The Bible says, Isaiah 46:9 says to remember your history. And so I think that's what we're doing today. We're just honoring God, and we're honoring his word, and we're honoring our pastor and his family. And so I'd like to actually ask the family to stand up. Hannah and Sarah and Susan and Mr. Tommy. We gotta get Mr. Tommy up here. He's part of this crew.
Papa, come on.
It wouldn't be Sunday morning. I know for all of us, he's the first one that always greets me when I walk in the door. And so, you know, the credit of this family, a lot goes to Mr. Tommy. And we thank you for, you know, what you did with your family. You know, Hannah is following in her daddy's footsteps. You know, she's serving the community, you know, as an EMT. Sarah, you know, man, it's got to be tough to be a preacher's kid, and you know, live up to the standards of, you know, what everybody expects. And man, she sure does that. And you won't, you know, there isn't anything that doesn't happen outside of this room on this campus that Susan's not involved in. And whether it's, you know, setting up, you know, kids programs out in the special events that we have, you know, Susan just, you know, puts in so much time. And when a pastor gets called, the whole family gets called. And so we want to not only honor Tommy's 20 years preaching here, but we also want to honor the family and what they've meant to the community. And, you know, they're our neighbors, our friends, and our pastor. While everybody's telling their Tommy tales, I guess I I can give you mine. About a month ago, I was at home and, was just working in my study and started to feel bad and, walked out of the study and tried to find my wife. And I said, I don't know, I don't feel good. Something's not right. And that was the last thing I remember. I hit the floor, and when I woke up, the one face that I recognized was Tommy in the room. And, I had kind of a good news, bad news story. And I said, well, good news is if I'm dead, I made it to heaven. Because Tommy's there. I said, bad news is he's there too. I said, but I guess he got halfway down to Brevard. He was on his way to, do some work that day. And, he recognized as he monitors the messages that come over, he recognized my address. And he said, I know who that is. And he turned around and came back up the mountain, and he beat the EMTs and the firemen to my house. And so he was there. And so that was that's the kind of pastor that he is. He cares about you, not just on Sunday mornings, but, throughout the week. The church wants to do something, tangible for the family. And 1 Timothy 5:17 says, let the elders who rule well be considered of double honor, especially those who labor in preaching and teaching. And so today we want to provide the family with a double honor. We want to provide the family with a gift from the church for the sacrifice and for the things that they do for us and for our community. Now, it's kind of tough to figure out what you give to a Baptist preacher, and so something that he can really use, and something that the church feels good about giving him. And so there were a lot of people that got together and they thought about that, and they said, something. There's something every preacher needs is an at-home baptismal tank. Now, the non-church community calls it a hot tub. We're going to present Tommy. I think they're going to get a chance to pick out the model that they want. Probably gets a little cold up there sometimes, so he'll have something to help stir the waters, and if he's if he's not baptizing someone here, he can baptize them at home. And then on those evenings when the stress of the weekend, he can get in that tank and relax with Susan. So we're very pleased to be able to do that, and we thank you for your service. We thank each of the members of your family and what you've meant for us these past 20 years. And this is the beginning now of the next 20 years in our congregation. So thank you. In closing, I just want to read one more thing that was written by a member of our church. God has a special place for each of us to serve, and you have chosen to follow his path. You have been the hands and the feet and the voice and the love of God expressed in many different ways. You have chosen to honor him as you have served in his name. Thank you for your willingness to give of yourself and be used where God has placed you, and you have blessed many lives. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything that you would like to say about Tommy, experiences with him? Anybody? Barbie?
I just want to say thank you to both Tommy and Susan. There was a period of time that I was calling on them for a lot. My life has, as I had seen it, imploded. And then 6 months later, my mom passed away, and I called Tommy. I don't even know what time of night it was, but it was in the wee hours, and he met us at the hospital. And was that strength that my family needed. And then 3 years ago, my dad went home, and Tommy was there. And
all I can say is thank you, because those two people have been a rock for me at some of the lowest times in my life.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. My wife and I came here probably 2009. We was going to a different church. We stayed over there at the campsite. And we discovered that it wasn't the same if we couldn't find a church. So we visited here, and I'd like to say I came because of Tommy's preaching, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that because Susan did the message that morning that we came. And she shared her testimony. And her testimony was real and true. Full of heartaches and joys, but I thought it's really difficult for a pastor's wife because a lot of times people are very critical of a pastor's wife. And I thought this must be a really loving church because she gave her true testimony and opened herself up. And I thought, that's the church we want here. Because not only does the pastor have a loving wife, but it must be a very loving community. And we've been very blessed here. And Tommy's been a part of our life, prayed for us and my family many times. We in turn have prayed for him and really enjoyed this congregation.
I just want to thank you, Pastor Tommy, for the last 12 years that I've known you, for always being there. Even when I came to Asheville homeless 6 years ago, you got me to the homeless shelter, which got me where I was on my feet, where I met my wife, April. And I can honestly say I don't know about nobody else, but I don't know where I would be without you and Miss Susan and your family. We love and we appreciate y'all.
Anyone else?
No.
Mitchell said no, but now his mom is going to talk. I just want to say that I'm so thankful that God has blessed us with Tommy and Susan and their family. And like all of you, they've seen me and mine at our best and at our worst. And they've loved us through that. I remember many, many years ago having a conversation with Susan. And like Tom said, it's very difficult for pastors and their wives and their families to find friends in their churches because we're imperfect people and we hurt each other even when we don't intend to, and that's a very difficult place to be, to minister and lead and then find true friendship. And I'm so thankful that I can call Tommy and Susan my friend and not just my pastor. And I'm thankful that they have helped grow me up and then help raise our children and all the kids that have passed through here. I know a call was put out on Facebook a week or two ago for people to come, and even though not necessarily their faces are here today, but you've impacted so many lives in our community and our church, and we're just so thankful for you. Can't express that enough.
As I mentioned a while ago, in the last 20 years, there have been many people God has called home. And it seems like it's happened in the blink of an eye. And time passes so quick. It don't seem like that my grandkids should be as old as they are. But you blink and they're growing up. And Sade accepted Christ as her Lord and Savior a couple of months ago. And
like I say, the number of baptisms shown on that video is not near all that's been baptized. And one thing being a deacon, you're called at times to go with pastor somewhere. One night, Tommy called and we had a member in Rosman that one of the deacons done anointed with oil and prayed for him. He knows what I'm going to say. But one of the deacons volunteered to drive, and me, and Tommy, that deacon, and Bramley, we set a speed record driving from here to Rosman. And my leg was about pinched off. I think Bramley pinched my leg. We went into one of the curves at Johnny Henderson's 90-degree turn, and I knew it was going to make it. Was it going to make it?
I was not driving.
But I told Tommy, I said, we're going to have to work on this if it comes up again. So, Tommy, I love you and your family. I'm going to turn it over to you to preach.
One thing, Ronnie, since you brought that up. And I shared this with Scott Henson last week, but when we went down to move Tommy and Susan up here, Gene Henson wanted to drive the moving truck. I mean, nothing would do it except he had to drive that U-Haul truck. So I'm not gonna call this fellow's name either, but I had lined Jasper up to go with me in my old truck and help move, and this certain individual and Gene and Bill Burrow were gonna drive down, and Bill Burrow and Gene were gonna drive the moving truck back. So Gene and Nick invited us over to their house for supper. And I think Ronnie and Rhonda and Gail and me were standing out beside the car. Gene said, "Who am I riding with?" And I said, "Well, Jasper's going with me. And looks like you'll be going with Bill Pearl and this fellow that Ronnie's talking about the driver." He looked around and he said, "Oh no, he drives like a bad automobile." He said, "They ain't these. Take those curves."
Anyone else before we turn it over to Tommy?
This is hard. Tommy and Susan, you have been such a blessing. You've been a blessing to everybody here, but especially my family. Whenever I've had a child in the hospital, and I've had more than my share, in critical condition, you've been there. In good times and bad, we've raised our kids together. I'm so thankful that the Lord allowed you to come here and allowed you to stay and be such a blessing, not just to my family, but to the church and everyone in it in the community. You have been used, and you have brought honor and glory to God by your lives. And I'm just so thankful.
I remember I went over to Tommy's house 2 or 3 days after we moved in, bring something or talk to them, got ready to leave, and at that time, Sarah was how old?
They were 6 and 18 months when we came here.
6 and 18 months. Anyway, they was running around barefoot in the house. And we got ready to leave, and Sarah was looking up at me. I said, "You want to give me a kiss before I leave?" And she said, So I leaned out. She didn't know who it was. But there was love in that family. Okay.
for his sense of humor. It's good to have a pastor who knows how to laugh. And Susan too, and the girls are so sweet. But I appreciate his text messages in the morning. I really love those. And the one week he did something about music, and I mentioned Pink Floyd in my response, and he said, "How can you eat your pudding, get your pudding if you don't eat your meat?" I thought he is so cool that he knows who Pink Floyd is. I knew that I was really in the right spot. So thank you, Pastor and Susan and the girls, and I'm thankful for my family here, and I am truly blessed.
Anyone else?
No.
Okay. Turn on.
Thank you, Mitchell. It's a good way to cap that.
I must say I'm completely caught off guard.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to pull something over on me.
Did y'all know?
Not all of it.
No, okay.
It's
They're like Fort Knox. I mean,
I've got a couple of things I'd like to share. Number one, I'm not worthy. Because it's all because of Jesus. He placed a call on my life to share the gospel. I'm ashamed to admit, and I said it in a recent service, I'm ashamed to admit that it took me so long to say yes. My cousin's son, which would be my second cousin, started his freshman year at Clemson just here a few weeks ago. And Chip was sending me pictures of him going and starting, and he's going to be an engineer. And he sent me his class list. And it was math and chemistry and basic engineering and, you know, the usual things. But there was one that was literature and writing. And I told Chip, I said, he'll do great. I said, of all those classes, I said, that literature class to me would be the most scary. I said, I hate to write papers. I hated to write papers. I despised to write papers. I did not like public speaking. The fact that God can speak through me is all of God and nothing of me. Because that's not something I'm comfortable with by any means whatsoever. Somebody recently asked me, do you still get nervous? And I said, those 30 seconds from the end of that song till I stand up, if I could run out the back door, I would every Sunday. It's terrifying. But it's the grace of God. There's a few things that stand out. Some of those early memories. And that day that I did preach the trial sermon here, not the one at Temple, just with the pastor search committee, but the Sunday that we came here, they prepared a meal for us downstairs, and we had the meal, and we were supposed to meet with the deacons after the meal and things. And I remember sitting down in a chair, and I didn't know who he was at that time, but it was Dick Fisher. And as has been said, we've lost a lot of great people. And Dick was one of them. And I sat down beside him, and all he said was, "I'm glad you're coming." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm coming yet or not." I said, this was just to see if, this is just the step, and I don't know if we're coming. And he goes, "But you're coming." We met with the deacons. We got finished with that meeting, and Dan Thomas came out. And on the way out, he said these words. He said, "We're actually calling your wife, but we just have to formally call you. We like her, but we're just going to tolerate you." I've made plenty of mistakes as your pastor. I am not a perfect man. And I'm ashamed of those failures. But I can honestly tell you this. I love this place, and I love this church, and I love these people. And I have a better relationship with you, and I see you more, and I love you more than extended family. Susan's parents were not involved in our life for a long period of time, and that's a long story, and we could go into that and talk a lot of things. But when we moved up here, our girls were given grandparents and aunts and uncles. You loved us. You've taken care of us. Carolyn Sue taught Susan how to make cornbread dressing.
Yes, you did.
I don't want to stand up here and just keep rambling on. I'm overwhelmed, and I really don't even know what to say. But it's a special opportunity. It's a very special opportunity for a pastor to have the privilege of pastoring a church for the length of time that I have. It is not something that's taken lightly. You've put up with my faults and my failures. We've had opportunities to go other places. There's been some really big churches called and just didn't think God wanted us to go that direction. And I don't regret not going, not 1 second or 1 ounce of my being, because this is home. When I was on social media, I started something a few years ago, and when I would post something about the church or something that had taken place, I would end the social media post by doing a hashtag and saying, "I love this place." Words cannot even be described how much I love you. And how much I appreciate you. And I'm going to give Susan a chance to say something here in just a second. But I want to say once again, and most of all, it's all because of Jesus. It's all because of Jesus. He redeemed me. He called me. It has nothing to do with me. And I pray I get to be here a whole lot longer. But all I want it to be is Jesus. Because He is the Savior of the world.
Being here and ministering to you for 20 years has never felt like work. You've been the greatest joy of our lives. When we moved into that parsonage, and within about 48 hours, the septic backed up. No kidding. And we had people that came in and saw us at not our best. We could not bathe. We could not wash clothes. Our house reeked of the smells that come from the septic system backing up. And I remember Gail and I had a conversation that week. She called, and we had talked with Bramley and Gail a long time through the whole process. And she had said to me she was so afraid that we were going to leave because the septic had backed up. And I told her, I said, we had no worries about that getting fixed. We knew it was going to get fixed. And I even joked and said, I told the Lord, if we ever get so comfortable that we get complacent and you decide it's time for us to leave, I want to be uncomfortable again. I know where the sewer lines are. I'm just going to go wreck it all again so that we can get uncomfortable and we get to stay. We had moved 6 times in the first 10 years of ministry. And by the time we got to you guys, we were tired. We were tired. We had opened our hearts up. We had opened ourselves up to so many people. And it had not worked out. And there had not been a permanent situation. There had not been family. And when we started praying over this church and we started praying about whether or not we were coming, what we prayed was, God, if it's really where you want us to be, we're asking for it to be home. Because we've got 2 girls that we want to have a home, a family. We want them to have roots. We want them to have a church that when they recall those times of really growing with the Lord, that they remember a group of people who poured into their lives. Great is His faithfulness. He has been so good. As I look at everybody seated here today, there are only a couple that I can't recall a time where we stood on some kind of sacred ground with you. I've held hands of people who we knew were going home to meet Jesus and hearing, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." And I cried, yes, because I was your pastor's wife, but I cried because that was my family member too, and it was hard to say goodbye. I've had the privilege of being welcomed in and holding babies that were brand new. And praying with those same babies that I held the day they were born to receive Jesus. Those are gifts that you can't put monetary value on. We have held hands of people who did not know how they were going to be able to hold on because, as Barbie had said, their whole world had exploded. And we didn't have the answer. But we showed up and we hugged them and we loved them and we reminded them they wouldn't walk it alone. And then we would go home and we would cry. We have shed many a tear for you as our family. We have laughed and we have rejoiced when it went well for you, and we have grieved when it didn't, because we have been all in. But I'm so grateful. I'm thankful and I'm humbled that you've put up with the times that we didn't get it right, that we really got it wrong, that we were growing, that we were kids. We were not this size, and we didn't have this much silver in our hair when we got here, and our babies were not this size. But I thank you for loving us. I thank you for being our home and for being our family. I thank you for encouraging us and praying for us. Those prayers have sustained us. Selfishly, I hope we get 20 more years with you. But if God moved us tomorrow, you have given us a lifetime of joy in 20 years. Thank you for today. Thank you for celebrating not what we did. We had nothing to do with it, but what God has faithfully done. And we've seen Him move mountains for some people. We've seen prayers answered. I cried all over again when I saw the picture of Jennifer's wedding, because I can remember the days that we prayed for the man that God had picked out for her. Just another day of joy that we got to be a part of that and celebrate. Thank you doesn't seem to be enough, and I love you doesn't seem to be enough, but today it's what we have to offer you, is that we are so grateful for you. You are our family. We're glad for the aunts and the uncles and the brothers and the sisters and the people that we know are our people, that allow us to be real and to have a bad day. When we go to pastors' conferences and we talk to people and we're all sitting there, everybody, puffs up, and how long have you been at your church or whatever? And you'll see some people who'll say, I've been there 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. And they get around to us and we're like, coming up on 20. And they just look at you. And I'm like, I know it's a gift. We don't, that's never lost on us, that God's given us the opportunity to serve you and love you for 20 years. And we are so so glad. Do either of my girls want to say anything? Because y'all have been in this a long time with us. It's the only life they've ever known.
You go. I can go. You got it.
Like Mom and Dad both said, we came here and found home, and we came here and found family. I always tell people not about my church family, but about my family, because for me it's the same thing. I was little when we moved here. Sarah was littler, but I was little when we moved here. And all the people, like they said, that we got to have as grandparents, as aunts and uncles, as additional siblings, all the things that we got to experience, all of the things that we were taught by you guys. The first waterfall I ever hiked to was with y'all. The first golf cart I ever drove was with y'all. Learning how to do all the things that you need to know how to do to be an adult and to love the Lord, and seeing a godly example not just in my parents, but in the other people here that cared about me. And knowing that I could call any of you at any time, and I have, when I needed somebody. And getting to be that for other people now. And, you know, I talk a lot. I have a big mouth. And I started a new job recently, and they said, "You don't seem to have a lot of trouble talking to people, do you?" And I said, "I grew up in the pastor's house. You had to talk to everybody. You know, it didn't matter what age they were, where you were. You learn quick to talk to people." And the opportunities that God's given me to see what He can do, to watch it in the lives of other people, to watch their faith walk out in front of me, to see people brought to their knees and still serve God, to pray and say, "I don't have anything left right now, but God." Yeah. And God's going to get me through it. Seeing those of you that have been there for me as a kid, those of you that lost children, lost parents, lost health, jobs, all the things that are important. As a child looking at you and seeing that and seeing you lean on God helped me learn the times in my life when things fell apart, that I could trust God, because I saw all of you. I saw my parents, and I saw all of you brought to your knees and still say, "But God, I'm going to serve you." Yeah. And having that kind of example and that kind of love and support is not something I can say thank you enough for, because y'all mean the world to me. And I'm so glad that God chose to bring us here, because I can't imagine having lived anywhere else and been family with anyone else. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go now. I'll go.
This is rare. Sarah does not speak to people.
No. Like Mr. Roddy said, I mean, obviously we don't have pictures from when we first got here, but I feel like I just watched my whole life flash before my eyes again. And I mean, y'all are all that I know, and I don't really want to know anything else, because I love y'all, and y'all mean so much to me. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to see all the things that I remember, like, shown again. Like I said, I just saw everything flash back. I don't remember anything else, and so I don't know, y'all are just really special to us. And we love y'all, and we thank you. And I knew this was gonna happen, but I did not expect this to affect me as much as it did.
really love and appreciate all of y'all. Way more than you know.
Well, people always say the preacher talks too long. And it's 12:30. It's time to eat. I suppose there's food out there. I didn't actually go out to the building. I didn't know there was a smoker out there. Because I came here and just came in the church.
I was not a very good pastor's wife this morning. I was on the struggle bus early. It was our family life team's turn. And so we'd had a busy week. And yesterday I was doing all the things that you still have to do when you work full time. I was cleaning up the kitchen, and I was doing laundry, and I was getting everything done. And it was like 9:15 last night, and it dawned on me that we had nobody designated to cook breakfast for our family life team. And so I said to Tommy, I said, I'll just get up in the morning. I've already found a good recipe. I'm going to make just a blueberry coffee cake. It'll be easy. I'm going to get up. When you start getting up and get ready for church, I'll get up. I'll get stuff done. Well, when I put the coffee cake in the oven at 10 minutes to 8, we should have been leaving at 8:30. The recipe said 60 minutes. You can't make your oven go any faster. It just won't do it. And I was beginning to unravel. I said, I've made us late. We're not going to get there at 8:30. We're just not. And so he started texting everybody. And then I realized that not all of his Sunday stuff made it into my laundry yesterday. And then I began to panic over, boy, I really blew it. Not only are we late because I didn't get it all done, but I don't know what you're going to wear this morning because I didn't get all the laundry done. And so God did that for you because we were so frazzled this morning getting out the door, we had no idea anything else in the world was happening. Nothing. We were just glad we showed up with all of our buttons buttoned and food and relatively on time. So I helped you out this morning by being an absolute train wreck. You're welcome.
I'd like to say that thank everybody who put this together. We didn't have a program agenda or anything laid out. We got church this morning. Nobody knew what to do. Jennifer, thank her for putting the video together. Thank the Passmores. They volunteered to cook pork. And Melanie and Jennifer and many others helped. So we appreciate all the help that people did put this together and help come up with it.
And we didn't really touch on the gift, but we are overwhelmingly excited. That was on our bucket list, but we were saving. That was way down the road bucket list. And with our tired arthritic bodies, that's going to be really nice. We really appreciate your thoughtfulness and giving us a little oasis, a little respite at home. So thank you. Thank you for your love and your kindness.
That first Sunday afternoon that Bramley called, we were serving in a church, and it was one of those churches where you hear nightmare stories.
Belly of the well. Big time.
And Susan was over at the church practicing singing, and I was at the house with the girls, parsonage with the girls, and I went tearing out over there, and I said, you won't believe where I got a phone call from. And in the process, there was a church on Emerald Isle began to talk to us. And I said, God, I don't know where you want me to go, but I want to go to the mountains. And I wasn't born in the mountains. I was born in the sand hills of South Carolina. But I hope I'm an adopted son. I'm going to ask Clint Owen if he would pray a blessing over the food. And let's go eat.
Father,
honor this family that sent us 20 years ago, because that's the inspiration to all of us. Lord, if the past continue to bless us on him, they need, work through the church, the community, in the individual lives.